Broadcasting from the Vancouver Convention Center in British Columbia, Solutions Review is on location at the FME User Conference 2022, the peak of data integration. Brought to you by Safe Software.
We are here at the FME User Conference 2022 in beautiful Vancouver at the Convention Center, which is quite an amazing place. And I'm lucky to be with Anand Subramani, president of Avineon, one of FME major partners. Thanks for being with us.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited to talk to you. It's great to be back post-COVID together again.
Isn't it nice?
Yeah, it is.
It's nice to be talking face-to-face as opposed to virtually.
Yeah, there's this energy that you just don't get with Teams and Zoom calls, and it's nice to have that back in the atmosphere and be a part of this community. So.
Absolutely. Well, tell me a little bit about Avineon and what brings you to this user conference specifically.
Sure. Avineon is a global company. Tensing is a part of our company as well. We have co-sponsored this event as a silver partner. We specialize in spatial intelligence across the countries that we cover, and that includes North America, parts of Europe, and in the APAC. Our partnership with SAFE has been key to building data integration and providing true value with spatial intelligence to really transform how businesses and agencies run their operations and find other ways to unlock value across the organization.
Well, and so what we found is the FME story is really quite unique in the data integration space around the spatial story particularly. Tell me about where you're seeing traction for Avineon.
Well, I think it really comes down to that tagline. It's really the peak of data integration. And so, you know, in the beginning stages of using maps and GIS, there's always been maybe one or two sort of data elements that provide value for using visualization and spatial intelligence. FME and SAFE, the way they've evolved the technology, they've been able to integrate so many different aspects of an organization to that spatial layer. And when you do that, not only do you not be able to see trends and analysis and find new ways to really unlock efficiency in your business, but you get this platform that everybody can engage and everybody can see how their particular responsibilities within an organization or an agency impact what they do. And so it's really exciting because when you come to an event like this, you see not only sort of what SAFE is doing to evolve FME, but you're seeing what the other partners are doing. And that's the huge sort of excitement you get because you take that story, you take those use cases, and you go back to your clients, like, look at this cool thing this other partner is doing. And it's interesting because you would think that, you know, all the partners were fighting over these clients, but it's not like that here. The atmosphere is very engaging. It's very much a community feel about how the technology is moving and really impacting lives, and that's the cool part of it.
Well, and it's very international as well. I mean, the FME community is global. You guys are clearly a great representation of that, and I think that's an excellent point around the value of a live conference that you can't replicate in a virtual environment. It's the organic stuff. It's having coffee and breakfast and talking to colleagues and other partners and hearing what they're doing and picking up on all those things. Those are the kinds of things that I think are so valuable at a conference like this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you see the connections come back, the network, and you see everybody again after such a long period of time, you know, and it's not just like being in the plenary and hearing Don and Dale talk about how they're evolving and how they're really impacting lives. It's seeing how everybody else is doing and everybody, I mean, post-COVID and things like that. There's some things that are informal that are nice to feel again, I think.
Well, so certainly SAFE has been evolving, but so has Avineon. Tell me a little bit about where Avineon's been headed over the past few years and what you see as some opportunities in the future.
Yeah, we've always been sort of in this spatial intelligence game, I would say, in North America, Europe, and in APAC. It's been sort of a strategic goal for Avineon to really start building out our skill set in our key partnerships, whether that's Esri, which we're very tight-knit with, and SAFE, and being able to do that with the acquisition of Tensing, with other acquisitions we've made, we've created almost like an internal FME community across our organization so that we share ideas about what we're doing in some of our clients in Dubai, what we're doing with some of our clients in Belgium, what we're doing with some of our clients for the US federal government, and we're sharing these stories. So it aligns well with sort of the community that we're building, because we see integration being something, as you said, that's just not within one border, it's global. And being able to take those stories to all of our customers with these acquisitions, with building our people and our skill set, has been something that really has provided a lot of additional value for me as I continue to try to grow our organization, but for the people who are part of our organization as well.
Well, so you've got a good global perspective on it, and I'm curious about the global story. So where are you finding traction globally, or are you seeing regions that are more open to this sort of, I don't know, more advanced data integration story?
I think it really comes down to what that common goal is going to be for an organization. And we're seeing a lot of that in Europe in terms of sustainability and moving towards action around climate change and things of that nature. There's been a real call to arms about let's figure out the best way to do that. And some of that has been led by national governments, pushing compliance and things of that nature down to utilities, who are all getting in line to do that. And I don't want to say that North America and APAC are lagging behind. There is growth there, but it really comes down to what is the goal of this data integration? What are we trying to get to? What's the value that we're trying to unlock? And some of that is just to be ethically good for the environment, and that's a great reason to do it. Some of other organizations are seeing, by unlocking a lot of this different data skill sets into spatial intelligence, they can transform what they do, what their operations and what their missions are. And some of that's happening, but I think when you have the national government like that's happening in Europe really push some of these goals down and seeing it move, you see a lot more sort of explosion in data integration.
So the spatial element on top of the data integration story really does take this to a more specific end user, right? There are almost some end users that can't find anything else that would potentially work in terms of what they need for their data integration. Where are you seeing that vertically? Is it primarily utilities, government at the top of the list? I mean, where else are you seeing that sort of early adoption?
Yeah, I would say it's governments, national governments and state and local governments are sort of at the top of that list. Utilities have always been very mature in how they use spatial intelligence. I mean, they know that if they interact with their CRM, if they interact with their billing system, they interact with their field crews, they see a quick impact on efficiency and how they operate their business. National governments, not only for security reasons and things of that nature, but if they have a push for the community, like sustainability, they can see that, okay, we need to figure out how we're going to track how well we're doing this. How are we spending the tax dollars in a way that's making sense? How do we report that back to the community? And a lot of that comes from the spatial layer, and integrating some of the other data elements into that layer so that decision makers can see the impact that they're making, the use of dollars, and the public can see that, okay, my dollars are actually going to use, and that's actually the goals are being met. So accountability is a big thing, I think, for that. And when the national governments want to be held accountable and want to be able to report to the community how well that they're doing, I think they see the spatial visualization and using that as a platform to have those type of conversations.
So one last question from me, and it's one that I always like to ask, which is, as somebody's considering going to this next level of data integration, what sort of advice would you provide that they should be thinking about in advance of the full consideration of something like this?
We always talk about value and how it's important to understand that value. And I think when you're thinking about going down the path of more mature data integration, I think it's important to take a step back and understand not only what that value will do for you as a business unit, but what that value will do for your organization or your agency. You really need to have sort of a champion behind that. And it can't just be about the data that's specific to you. It's got to be how the integration of data will help not only you, but maybe other parts of the organization. And being open to collaborate about that conversation and that story to unlock that value is where I think you'll really truly get an enterprise impact on the integration.
Outstanding. Well, thanks very much for swinging by. We very much appreciate the time. Best of luck with the rest of the show. I know we're early, but it's been a pleasure. Thanks.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate the time.
You bet.
Thanks.